I'm Mike Ing. I own and run, along with my wife, Dukeries Retreat Limited. It's a glamping site, been going about 5 years, initially with 6, now with 10, with no plans to get any bigger. It's going well. It's, I think, the perfect size, and if the weather holds, maybe we have the perfect business plan. Oh, it was simple. It was purely commercial. I am on the mailing list for Basset Law Council, and I got an email through saying potentially there's a grant available for various ways of decarbonisation. So I explored electric vehicles and other things, and I ended up ringing them, and the easiest, most obvious solution was solar panels. And I've always had as you saw next door, we've got a huge the field full of solar panels. And I know a few people have had solar panels, and I've always thought I'm missing out somehow. So I thought I'll give it a go, as long as there's no commercial risk. It's a no-brainer, and indeed it has been a no-brainer, and there has been no commercial risk. Just due diligence. I think I mentioned earlier, we have a policy of buying as local as we can. Nearly everything we buy is sourced locally, so I basically looked for a solar panel supply company that was local. I think from memory there were 3 or 4, and then I go back to my prejudices and judging people on cut of their jib, how they respond, the website, all the various subliminal messages that you get when you're approaching new companies. And I like John. He was quick, efficient, respectful, knowledgeable, and what he said he was going to do, he did, whereas some of his competitors didn't. In terms of comparing John's quote with others, I needed 3 for Basset Law Council, so I chose the 3 closest. Again, from memory, John's came on time, in detail, very clear. It was dead easy. And actually, it came in at the budget I told him. The second one I looked at, a very nice lady and gentleman came and then quoted me for what I didn't ask for. It was nearly what I'd asked for, to such an extent that I actually phoned John, asked him to pop in, and he showed me why it wasn't what I'd asked for, which was very useful. And then the third person said, I've got a family crisis, I'm too busy, it'll be about £8,000. So he was quickly dismissed. Oh yes, there were. The grant, from memory, was £5,000. I was prepared to pay a little bit more than that, and I thought, well, you know what, I have a building, I've been advised that about £5,000 would nicely fit that building's roof. And I thought, well, why wouldn't I just make £5,000 a target for the guys to aim at? And John hit it actually to £4. I think it was £4 off, £3.99 off. It was. In terms of energy costs, I couldn't tell you. I had a quick look at the meter, and it looked as though each side of the roof, if you like, was producing about a kilowatt on a reasonably nice day, of which we've had quite a few. I'm never going to get rich from that building being covered in solar panels, so I don't concern myself too much about it. Practically wise, psychologically, it's had a difference. We have 4 bathrooms that it feeds at the top of the field, and in each of those bathrooms is an electric towel rail. And I'm always running up and down, turning them on, turning them off, because I've got guests not using them or the doors are open. Now I can relax a little bit, knowing that the biggest part of the cost of those towel rails is actually produced by the solar panels. My wife thinks I'm daft. We're in about 15 pence every so often, but psychologically, it makes me feel better knowing that I'm not wasting quite as much money as I was wasting before. Yes, indeed. Basset Law Council offered us the grant, and we happily accepted. There was a little bit of form filling in, but actually minimal considering it's a council. So I was very pleased both with the service that you guys provided, but also with the Basset Law District Council. Very good. Well, yes, it has, because we weren't using renewable energy before, apart from obviously from the power stations, and now we are, and more, particularly with this net zero malarkey that we're all having to go through. I will be asked, I'm sure, about my green credentials. Certainly when applying for any sort of grant, it is often one of the questions that you get asked. So yeah, it's well, every little helps. They're on, and I point out the new building. Many are repeat customers, and they say, "Oh yes, oh, and I see you've got solar panels." It's always a positive. There's nobody that says you're an idiot, you put solar panels up. They generally ask, "What did it cost?" And have you seen a difference? It's early days to see a difference, but they're more interested in the field next door, which has got, as you've seen, well, about 100 times as many solar panels as I've got. They think it's mine. Fortunately, it's not. But yes, I would say it's a definite positive, and I think they actually look quite nice. You know, they're not ugly at all. They don't detract from the building. They're not like the old days where I mean, I've got black panels on a black roof, and it looks quite okay. Two things: I don't actually manage my energy usage. I take the view that life's too short to start managing something that is going to be what it is going to be. The closest I get to managing energy usage is turning people's lights off when they leave them on, which doesn't really make that much difference. I don't monitor how much it produces, and I don't monitor how much I use. Really, I couldn't tell you every quarter when I do the VAT returns. I could tell you, but I don't tell you. I couldn't tell you really what our monthly bill is. It does fluctuate a fair bit. Out of curiosity, as I said, I did go down and look at the meter, and it was a kilowatt per side, which I thought was fairly decent. Both sides of the boiler kettle. Oh, I'd say a 10. I know how difficult it is to please customers because I've been in customer service for 30 or 40 years. Um, and it's difficult to think of anything that wasn't positive. So I'd say a definite 10. Very rarely give anyone a 10. So I'll call it 9.9. I think John's attentiveness, as a former sales guy myself, I get really critical of being sold to in a bad way. And I'm always aware of poor salesmanship. And it doesn't always bug me, but if there are no other criteria to judge people by, then I'm afraid it goes against people. John was excellent. He was not too pushy, um, always there. What I liked about John is that I phoned him a couple of times when he shouldn't have answered because it was his day off or it was the evening or weekend, and he answered, and that's a big deal. I would say John deserves a pay rise. Put him down for a pay rise. It's on here now. The reasons stated earlier, I would recommend future-proof solar. I'm quite a difficult person to please, and they and you and John did please me, and it was seamless, really, from start to finish. As to how much companies will save and how long it will take them to recoup their cost, I couldn't say. Certainly, I recouped my costs within a couple of days. That was unusual. But the short answer is yes, I would recommend future-proof solar.